He asked me a question yesterday. I think maybe it was something he said or had a conversation with someone else. But he asked me that did I ever think that this was a family or a gang, excuse me. And I told him in the start because it was very manageable. And when we were a little bit smaller, it did feel like a family because, again, I think everyone was still trying to get to know themselves and each other, right? And build something. And it did at first feel like that. But then over time, I got to slowly start to see that this is the Southside gang. But I didn't get to see it from like a respectable way. I kind of saw it in a disrespectful manner. Be like, okay, I understand now. Like, I'm part of a gang. You know what I mean? So I think over time, I think that was like a really good hit on the head as a reminder at the end of the day. And I can't really be mad at it. Like, yeah, it is sad, but I can't really be mad at it. You know what I mean? Because it was already there on the table. It was just
The
very
best,
easy to ignore. You know what I mean?
the best way you can look at it, right, is you're in a gang. You might love some people in that gang, like your family, but don't be surprised if those people are acting like a gang.
Right.
Don't worry, this has been an age-old debate for a while, and I can answer them questions. We're a gang. We're a gang with some people in that are like family to each other and some that aren't. I'll be real. There's people in the group that are like my family. There's people in the group that are not like my family. But at the end of the day, it's business.
Yeah. I think that was also maybe a thing, right? It's just like when you're in a gang or when you slowly start to progress and become bigger and bigger, there become certain cliques within gangs, right? You have people that have a longer history or relationship with certain people, and then you have people that maybe feel like they're trying to slowly fit into those kind of little circles, right? And they just don't necessarily know if they fit or not. So they feel like a burden, right? Or they feel like less than like, oh, since I'm not close with these certain people,
Billy!
don't have these kind of
Thank
relationships
you
with
for
these
the
people, I
50.
just don't really fit
What a
in, right?
gangster.
And then it slowly becomes like, well, people start to talk about each other within the gang, and there just becomes like minimum of mini groups, and it should have never been like that, or it should have never be like that, right? And I think that was also kind of a struggle, was feeling like, there was a lot. The thing is, I get it, right? Everyone's close to somebody or close to maybe one or two people, right? I think that's very normal to have, like, and especially in a friend group or whatever. But I think it also became a thing where it was just like, I don't know, everyone became a little divider, feel like they weren't really part of the game because a longer history they didn't have with people.
Loyalty's hard to come by. The problem is this time around, right? And this was gonna be, I haven't vocalized this before, right? But like the thing with how we are now, there's two very different things. 5 years ago, when I was in a group and when all of us were in groups, right? It was a lot of people's first home, first family, whatever you want to call it, right? Going into making the manor, it was always obvious you're going to be bringing people into a group that have pre-existing loyalties. No matter how strong my loyalty is to anyone in the manor, my loyalty will always be strongest to people who was in Roadmen, followed by people who was in Mandem, followed by Manor, right? That's just how it is. Someone like Terry has got pre-existing loyalties. It was always going to be the case where people come and go because the loyalties aren't as straightforward as when you're in your first group or when you go from having no one to having someone. Those are going to be the people you're with off rip. Like, I'm going to be honest. Kylie, after this whole situation, to me, I think she was here more for Terry maybe than she was the gang. Which I probably should have seen, but I think also her being my blood family is like slightly blinding. Cheese. You're gonna make me cry.
I think
Cheese.
that's also very tricky, right? Especially in general, like someone you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, including like something like this, running a gang, having maybe someone you're related to, and then also having someone it's kind of like a brother-in-law figure, then also having someone when it comes to like issues, like feeling like it becomes odd because you don't know like what side you feel like you have to like not pick a side, but now it becomes a little awkward, right? I get that, and I think that was and also maybe an issue or like a concern way in the beginning, right? Certain people getting close or having these relationships, like if shit went south, then it kind of gets a little tricky.
It gets messy, but that's all right.
Yeah.
I've just learned to be in it for myself more. Like,
What do you mean by that?
you can only control your own actions, right? Even as a leader, like my whole purpose is to shape the way the group is, set goals, get shit done, like build something, right? But ultimately, regardless of everything outside of like gang, you can only control yourself. I can spend energy on, it's like this, right? There's people like Terry who I have to use 40% of my energy on to keep in line and to keep in the gang. And then there's other people in the gang who are here and I don't have to use any energy because they're about the gang. They're on their shit. They don't cause no problems. Like, they just don't need managing. I can only worry about what I'm doing. I started a gang called the MANOR. I'll continue doing that. People will come and people will go. I got love for people that have come and gone, but I'm just not in a mindset where I'm gonna dwell on it and just keep it moving.
And I think that's a really good thing about you, SK, that I respect, because the thing about you is you said in the past, like, if people are not happy here, I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna understand like where you're coming from, but if you're not happy here, you're not happy here. Like, I can't force you to be here. And if you sometimes you, like, a lot of the times in the gang, like, people get very side blinded, right? So you don't know everything that goes on because sometimes, maybe 9 times in it, you're not informed or like told, right? So how are you supposed to know if people don't tell you things, right? But I think for you, you've always given people the like opportunity or the door to come speak to you. Like, you've always been a speaking person. I think maybe, if I'm assuming that's what kind of hurt with like maybe like Saint or maybe someone like Terry was, you said like in the past, like I've spoken to them and I would hope I give them like enough trust for them to come to me about anything that that bothers them, or if there's a problem, just talk to me. And knowing what happened with Terry yesterday, I know this for a fact that you probably wouldn't have done the same, of how like he had to go, right? But it kind of makes sense maybe.
What do you mean?
Well, I know like how, like, I feel like sad that Terry's gone, right? But at the same time, it just seems like he just wanted to have a way out, but didn't maybe know how to really express it. You know what I mean? And maybe like Terry didn't want to go out like a sad way, but like a Terry way, because maybe he didn't really want to open up like that. You know what I mean?
He wanted to leave. He was trying to get kicked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying in a sense, like, that's probably what like maybe Terry wanted, like, to go out that way, to be kicked, and not say like maybe he wants to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the difference just is I intervene before problems turn serious, because I know what he's done. Like I've been around it. Like, I've been known these, man. Like, if you don't intervene in these small dumb situations, they will boil into shit like this, because it's just the nature. Like, imagine I'm just chilling, right? Someone pulls up to me, gang leader, let's say I'm having a conversation with Benji and Ray, right? They're like, so how come Terry's not in the group no more? And I go, well, one of my members told him to put his bum away. He got angry about it. They then got into a petty off back and forward, which led to Terry's bike getting put in the ocean, and then Terry shot 2 gang members and ultimately got kicked. You understand why those scenarios piss me the f off?
Because it's like, that was the reason. Like, it was like that was the reason you chose to do all of that, because someone told you to put your bum away.
But I know what they're like in those scenarios. Yeah, I don't talk about doing it. I just do it. I just put myself in the middle of them because I know what they're like, and I know if you leave Luke, if you leave Terry, if you leave John on a bad day unattended, and you don't just put yourself in the middle of those scenarios, then it will just boil into something it never needed to be.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I remember even back before, like, Luke and Terry would just go at it like cats and dogs. You know, it's like little things like you have to stop before it gets worse, right? But considering like when you, like you said, when, I don't know, it's like a curse when you're not around, like shit just go left, right? Everything just goes up in flames. And then you come back and you have to put out or see the destruction is already, you know, spread a little bit. So Terry was always a wild card, including like sometimes even Luke and stuff like them. But I don't know, it's kind of very shitty. It's kind of like very, very shitty too. That instead of just like if you wanted to walk away, you literally have the option to.
I mean, hey, Terry's now got to live with Tic Tac because he's OG.
Can I ask you something, SK? Maybe this is a little too early to ask.
He went from being an OG to having Tic Tac as his OG.
Maybe something like this occurs. Do you sometimes wonder, like, what would Tommy T do in certain situations like this? What he had to deal with?
No. There was a difference between... The difference is, right? I guess to a certain extent, he had a similar scenario with, like, Dean. Back in the day. Where Dean was, like, pushing his buttons. But T was very aware that Dean was, like, a big personality in the group. And was, like, someone that... Ultimately, he didn't want to get rid of him. Because he knew that he brought a lot to the table. But ultimately the negatives outweighed the positives, and he made his own path and he got himself gone, you know. But the difference is, Gigi, with T, a lot of what he saw from people was the type of, was that person being their Tommy T variation. When T woke up, a lot of people was very different. Anything he said would go. It was all everyone on their best behavior. Soon as he put his head on the pillow, just went out the window. But I don't think people do that with me. I think I see people for what they are mostly. I don't think people really switch up.
Right.
Like, I know what Terry's like, right? It's not like Terry only does that shit when I'm not around. Like, he's done it straight to me.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say about Terry was very adamant I can't even say the word, adamant about who he was from the very beginning to where he is now. Like, he's never changed. Like, he's always been that way. Like, yeah, he may have been calm if you told him to, like, hey, chillax, but he's always been maybe that way, which I can respect.
Terry's a kind of shiro.
Maybe even Terry was to be destined for his own destruction sometimes.
The thing is, yeah, you know what? The thing, I'm not... I'd already come to terms with Terry leaving. I said this to Steve days ago because I knew it was coming, right?
Yeah.
I'm not pissed. I don't feel no way about him dipping, right? Obviously, the situation that he went is dumb. Shouldn't have been like that, but shit happens. What will piss me off is if he goes to another group and just becomes a soldier.
Yeah, I mean, can I be honest? I feel like there was times where people put a lot of shit on Terry, but sometimes a lot of those people were his enablers as well too. Like, yes, Terry did a lot of things when you turn your back, but also when you enable somebody and like laugh at it or be like, you know, this and this and that, you don't stop it. And then when he does do it by himself, I feel like maybe some people just like, I don't understand like how people got so mad at him for doing that when that's what they enable. That's what you guys like. That's what you guys entertain. When he, like, I agree. Terry is also more than just a soldier. But I think a lot of people kind of misuse that also, used him like maybe, I'm not saying like you or anyone, but it's saying that like maybe you misused him as well too, to take initiative of certain things, right? Because that's how Terry is.
If I see that you go to Hades and get on the back of a Sunny truck and be doing exactly what he's told, yeah, I'ma be jarred. If this Don starts acting all goody two shoes, yeah. Listen, If Terry goes to another group and terrorizes them, nothing will bring me more joy than seeing Terry remaining himself in another group. If I see Terry go join Hades and he's causing non-stop headaches, as long as it ain't with me, hey, at least he stuck to who he was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Great.
I just don't want to see him go switch up, because then if I do see him go switch up, I see that as disrespectful, because it's like, well, you was causing me all these issues and now you go somewhere else and all of a sudden you're on your best behavior. So I hope he continues to terrorize the citizens of Los Santos, to be honest. City needs a Terry. Is just, he's hard to manage, and I think sometimes he just self-destructs.